morning, YouTube, and welcome back to another episode here at WILDMAN Lifts. I'm your host, WILDMAN. Now, on today's episode, I want to welcome you to the intro and episode 1 of my new series that I'm going to be calling Road to 500. And what I mean by that is 500 pounds on the deadlift. It's going to be on a barbell. Now, you're probably wondering to yourself, haven't you lifted 500 pounds on a barbell already? And the answer is, I guess kind of, technically, but not really. Because there was one time where I lifted 500 pounds total with chains. So at the top of the lift, it was 500 pounds. And then there was another time when I lifted 500 pounds on the straight bar, but I used the wagon wheels, which is 3 inches off the ground. Decreases the range of motion, makes it a lot easier to lift. So I've done that before, but I've never done it on a barbell before. And I've been training up with the axle bar because I was never able to hit 480 pounds on an axle bar before because it's so thick in diameter and it's very difficult to get off the ground. So I was able to train and to hit that. I'm going to use that same training format, and I'm going to try it on the barbell to try to hit 500 pounds on the first time from the ground with a barbell, with no other additional help like chains, although I'll be using chains to help me as a tool, or wagon wheels. Now, the reason why I haven't hit 500 pounds on a barbell before is because I used to train with a mixed grip on the barbell. But what happened was twice, no matter which side I moved my arm where it was over under, I ended up rupturing my bicep on both arms. So I don't like to use the mixed grip anymore. So as a result, I had to switch to straps. Now the difference is when I was training heavy on the barbell with the mixed grip, the max that I ever got to was 475 pounds. And I set up a whole lot differently. I used to get my air and my brace at the top of the movement, and that's how I used to train to get power off the ground. When I ended up rupturing my biceps and I ended up swearing off the mixed grip forever, I had to start over with straps. And all those straps might be easier because that takes away the grip factor out of it. I had to get my breathing and brace at the bottom of the lift, and I wasn't used to that. So I've had to start all over in my deadlift training, and now I kind of feel like I'm at the point right now where I could work up to 500 pounds starting with today. So let's jump into today's workout. I'm going to show you my blueprint of how I'm going to get to 500 pounds at the end of the series. Now for today's strength giant set, on day 1 of my deadlift plan to lift 500 pounds, I'm going to be doing the deadlift with chains. And yes, I realize that the chains are a little too low to the ground. So later I'm going to be fixing that mid-set, but there's definitely a purpose to have those chains attached to this deadlift for the day. And as I'm going up in weight, I'm also going to be doing some tire flips. Now that tire weighs 260 pounds. Great strongman movement, really fun to do, absolutely blows up your conditioning, great warm up for the deadlift. And some sledgehammer strikes. I love doing these because it works my obliques, but it also works my shoulder mobility. And it's a great conditioning tool as well. That's going to be the strength giant set for the day. So the purpose of today is to hit a weight I know I can hit, but just see if it moves slow or if it moves quick. That'll tell me a lot about where I'm starting off. And I've loaded those chains because with the chains, you can overload the movement. So it's a little bit heavier at the top that you could typically deadlift, or a good starting point. But it also helps that to get it off the ground a little bit quicker. But once it reaches your knees at the sticky point, that's where the chains kick in. And you got to learn how to pull through that. And it doesn't get easier like it does on a deadlift. Typically when you get to the knees and you get around the knees, it's a lot easier to lift from that angle. But it's not going to be with the chains because it's going to get heavier. So this is just a different movement. And it really teaches speed through the middle, which is a very important thing when you're trying to do some powerlifting movements and compound movements, such as the deadlift. Because when you get around that sticky point, you need to be able to move quickly from the floor and quickly navigate around those knees so that you're in a stronger position, and then your upper back can take over and lock it out. So I'm not trying to kill myself today. I'm trying to make sure that I'm getting to the targeted weight that I want to get to. And if it moves too easy, that's great. That means I'm in a great starting position. If it moves really slow, well, then that means I got some extra work to do, because that means that there's a lot of things that are failing me right now, and I got to pay attention to that. So since it's lighter, that's why I decided I was going to throw in a lot of strongman movements, because these actually do tucker me out and give me a really good workout. But at least with the lightweight today, I'm able to lift and do some other stuff that will make sure I get a really good workout. So I'm not just wasting away doing a really light deadlift today, that I can actually just move through and get a good workout done and get a good sweat done and overall work my overall strength and my raw strength. Now, what kind of sucks about starting over with the straps is I had to really learn a whole new technique, because getting your breathing and bracing from the bottom is foreign to me. There's a lot of people that are stronger at this than I am, and I'm just not built that way. I've never trained that way. So I had to really teach myself how to do that. And I kind of found now that I'm doing that, when I tried the mixed grip during my deload period, I found that I wasn't very good at the mixed grip anymore. I don't know how to get power from that position anymore because I've been practicing this position for so long. So that's kind of a good thing. I feel like that I just need to get some extra practice and some extra work getting down and being powerful from the very bottom of the lift. And I feel like that I've done a good job of that and getting used to the straps because I used to squeeze the hell out of the bar. And that actually made it a whole lot easier to go up because I was using more inertia. So using straps actually took that away from me. But now I'm used to it, and now I'm really relying more on my posterior chain, and I must say I really like it. Alrighty, so this was a great start. This was 470 pounds total at the top of the lift. It's about 430 pounds at the bottom of the lift. And I believe that's the fastest I've ever pulled it. I looked back at the footage, and I believe that that was the fastest, judging off the video, that it came off the ground and locked out. It is very tempting just to throw 30 pounds on here and hit 500 pounds total at the top of the lift, but I'm not going to do that. Today was just mainly about getting back out here, starting this resume, and trying to build up over time. Because if I zap my central nervous system out now, then the next time I come back to train, I'll have to do less weight. So that's not part of the plan. This is literally called the road to 500 pounds, which meaning it's a long and windy road, and we're going to follow it step by step. So today, this was part of the plan. It moved perfectly. I'm going to put that away. And now I'm going to work on some other things because I noticed when I was doing my axle deadlift the last time, once it got to the lockout portion, I lost a lot of power in my upper back. So now I'm going to try to really build that upper back. So when I'm holding 500 pounds in my hands this time, I'll be able to lift it. So let's pop into the rest of the workout. Now for the variation giant set, I was doing 3 rounds. I'm doing something called a snatch grip deadlift. That's when you put your hands out super wide. So now you're getting your torso lower to the ground and you're actually getting a lot more range of motion. Now what this does is it absolutely blows up your upper back and you're training that same movement as a deadlift. So it carries over a lot into the deadlift. I actually watch a lot of top deadlifters perform this movement and they're always doing this usually on the beginning of their starting point of their deadlift program. And the idea is not to go too heavy. Sometimes I go straight from the bottom and completely relax my brace and then bring it back up. But on this day, I'm just trying to make sure that I'm working that upper back really hard. So that's the goal for today. It's just to make sure that I'm hitting my upper back and that I'm able to lock it out once I get to that 500 so I don't struggle with what happened last time when I was trying to lift that axle for 480. And I just kept in the same giant set training format as the first one with the tire flips and then immediately going over into the sledgehammer strikes. So instead, I'll just tell you what I did for the assistance giant set, which is 3 rounds, and I'm lifting this rhino stone, which is 220 pounds, a natural stone. So it's kind of got a little angle to it. But I lifted that 3 times in a row. And then in between, I was doing something called lookbacks, something that I learned how to do, which is a great assistance movement to do for the deadlift because it really targets your obliques. It also targets your hamstrings and it really targets your shoulder mobility as well when you twist. Love doing these, and I really feel like it makes a big difference in my deadlift. And I'm doing something new, something you've probably never seen before. I never heard of it, but I kind of made it up. It's the braided band static back hold. So when I'm doing with a closer grip, just trying to make sure that I'm targeting that area because I want to make sure that when I lock it out, my upper back has the strength to lock out a deadlift. And I feel like that this will help in the long run. And for the accessory giant set, I was doing 3 rounds again. Now I'm doing some kettlebell standing bicep curls, but you'll see that I actually pull the kettlebells out in front of me with the handles. So I have to squeeze a little extra harder. And it also makes my biceps activate a whole lot more. So you don't have to use a whole lot of weight on this. This is kind of like a stubborn curl. And I really find that it helps, especially when I'm trying to lift stones. It really helps keeping it in the front rack position a whole lot better when you're struggling to lift a heavy stone and you need some extra oomph and some extra real estate. And some hitchhikers, making sure that I'm targeting my back of my shoulders to make sure that I don't get any impingements, and abmet sit-ups. I really feel like when I do abmet sit-ups on my deadlift and squat days, I feel like that my hips feel a lot better, probably because it's an antagonistic movement to the back. That was the total workout for the day. Alrighty, so that's going to conclude it for today's workout. Really appreciate everybody stopping by, and I hope that you follow along on my journey because this is only episode 1. There's many more to come as I work up to my ultimate goal of lifting 500 pounds with the straps on the barbell for the deadlift. I'll see you next time. Thank you.